From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. The Philippine Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, is set to submit to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. next week the list of all completed and ongoing flood control projects in the country since 2022. DPWH Secretary Manuel Bonoan said they are currently consolidating data from the different district engineering offices and regional offices, all the flood control projects under the present administration. He made a statement on the sidelines of the 2025 Post-State of the Nation Address or SONA discussions in San Juan City Wednesday. At the same time, Bonoan said they will also include in the list the projects undertaken by past administrations. The DPWH chief reported that close to 10,000 flood control projects have been completed nationwide under the Marcos administration.
Talagang kailangan po natin isagawa ng mga flood control projects para maproteksyonan po natin ang mga kapagiliran at mabigyan po natin ng katiyakan ng ating mga mamamayan na hindi sila binabaha. Sa kasalukuyan po, itong administrasyon ng ating presidente, mula po nagsimula nito, ang Department of Public Works and Highways po, nakatapos na po kami ng I think about 9,800 flood control projects all over the country po nito, no? Sa lahat. At sa kasalukuyan po, meron po kaming I think 5,700 ongoing projects. Na flood control projects pa rin po ito. And ang kwan po namin dito, yung instructions ng ating presidente na ibibigay po namin yung listahan kung ano yung natapos, ano ang kasalukuyang estado, nandiyan pa ba yan, mga yan, o tsaka kung ano yung ginagawa na namin ngayon. Tingin ko naman, yung mga naisagawa na namin dito, nagbigay po ng protection, immediate protection po sa ating mga mamamayan, sa paggawa po namin ng sinasabi nating sangga sa mga pangsangga sa floodwaters dito sa gilid ng mga ilog. At ito yung tinatawag po namin mga revetment walls, and this has provided immediate protection sa underlying areas.
During his fourth SONA last Monday, Marcos directed the DPWH to submit a list of completed and ongoing flood control projects as a step toward eliminating corruption in the implementation of such infrastructure projects.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, is set to convene a summit with the Metro Manila mayors to institutionalize public discipline on waste management to address flooding. Speaking at the Post-State of the Nation Address or SONA discussion on environmental protection and disaster risk reduction, Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla renewed his call for a unified and systematic waste control system among local government units or LGUs to address persistent flooding worsened by climate change. Remulla highlighted the decades-long lack of cohesive solid waste management planning, particularly in Metro Manila, which has contributed significantly to clogged waterways that result in massive flooding. He said public discipline on waste management should be institutionalized, even as he emphasized that natural waterways are not dump sites but vital ecosystems that must be protected. He said small municipalities often lack space for dump sites while larger cities face improper waste disposal. He cited challenges stemming from a provision of Republic Act 7160 or the Local Government Code of 1991, which delegates waste disposal as a municipal concern, limiting comprehensive planning across cities and provinces. He said efficient garbage collection at the municipal level and barangay level is crucial to supplement the ongoing cleanup operations of creeks by the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA.
Ang hindi predictable human behavior. Yun, magde-drain ka ng kanal, at ng river, makukuha mo refrigerator, kama, furniture, ano-ano makikita mo sa ilalim. And that's all human behavior. And that is correctable if we enforce it properly. Ayan ang tugon ng LGU ngayon. Sa Friday, may summit kami ng mga mayors kung paano namin institutionalize yung disiplina sa mga tao dito sa Metro Manila at sa ibang mga lalawigan na yung daan ng kalikasan, hindi basurahan yan. Para yan sa kalikasan talaga. Dahil sa inefficient ang planning natin in the last 30 years sa solid waste management, ang mga local government units ngayon nahihirapan sa collection system. Dapat dyan kasi meron tayong systematic approach na east, west, north, and sa buong Metro Manila and South. Meron na tayong integrated waste management systems na mas service ang buong city. Pero ito'y hindi lang sa city to, pati yung mga probinsya, pati lalawigan, dapat may ganun na rin. Meron tayong very faulty provision sa local government code na nakalagay doon na ang waste management is a municipal problem. The wording of the local government code is one of the biggest hindrances of the government in planning waste management. And it's something we have to revisit and to rewrite and to create a more holistic approach into garbage disposal.
Metro Manila was one of the hardest hit areas during the onslaught of the southwest monsoon or habagat, and the series of weather systems in the country last week affecting over 820,000 individuals. Massive flooding was reported in various cities in the metropolis, submerging communities.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Department of Budget and Management or DBM Secretary Amena Pangandaman said the planned convergence budgeting for a drainage master plan in Metro Manila will be discussed with concerned government agencies on August 1. Pangandaman said a meeting will be attended by the Department of Economy, Planning and Development or DepDev, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA, the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the National Irrigation Administration. This as Pangandaman cited the issues concerning the drainage system designed to mitigate persistent flooding in the country's metropolis. The Vitas Pumping Station is a component of the fourth phase of the Metro Manila Flood Control Project. The pumping station, which was recently rehabilitated by the DPWH, supports flood mitigation efforts during heavy rainfall and is presently equipped with 5 pumps and 3 floodgates. Pangandaman said flood control projects in Metro Manila may also be replicated in flood-prone areas like Pampanga. The inspection was conducted after Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in his 4th State of the Nation address or SONA delivered on Monday, ordered a comprehensive audit of flood control projects as he slammed the misuse of funds that make the flood mitigation measures ineffective. Pangandaman said President Marcos wants close monitoring of flood mitigation projects. She said the DBM and implementing agencies would submit to President Marcos the report on flood control projects as soon as possible.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Office of Civil Defense or OCD has expressed its full support for Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s call for intensified disaster preparedness in the face of global climate change. President Marcos made the call during his 4th State of the Nation address or SONA, where he stressed the need for all Filipinos to cooperate with the government in meeting the challenges posed by climate change. The OCD said it has taken the principle of continuous improvement to heart, using every experience to refine strategies and strengthen public safety training. The agency also said it supports Marcos' calls for infrastructure upgrades. In his latest SONA, President Marcos also highlighted the role of advanced technology in saving lives and anticipating effects of calamities. In response, the OCD said, together with the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA and the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology or PHIVOLCS, it is taking steps to maximize the use of Doppler radars, broadband seismic stations, landslide sensors, and disaster field books.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. administration's bloodless anti-narcotics drive remained effective, with more than 153,000 drug suspects arrested and over 80 billion pesos worth of drugs seized from July 2022 to June 2025. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla said this during the post-State of the Nation Address SONA discussion session in San Juan City Wednesday. Remulla lamented the previous administration's reward system in its anti-narcotics campaign and a supposed practice of only submitting a small portion of its drug haul while storing away the rest. Remulla also cited a drop in the demand and supply of illegal drugs, saying government agencies had seized a total of only 6 tons in the last 8 months. As a result of the low supply, the street value of methamphetamine naturally rose by 35% to 6,800 pesos per gram.
From 2016 to 2022, may nagkaroon ng institutional practice na kumakahuli ng 100 kilos, ibobodega nila 90, isasabit 10. Para magkaroon sila ng accomplishment, kukuha ng sino man dyan nasa kanto, babarilin, maglalagay ng drugs, kukuha ng reward. Ayan ang naging sistema at kultura noong panahon na yon. Noong panahon ni Presidente Marcos, sabi niya, tigil na yan. Ang nangyari niyan, hinuli muna namin yung bodega. Wala nang reward system. So going from a consumption-based strategy in curtailing drugs, naging supply side ang kinuha namin. Just to give you an example, since the President, the national consumption, estimated consumption of methamphetamine in the Philippines is 16 tons a year. In the last 8 months, ang interdiction efforts ng PDEA, PNP, NBI, lahat ng ahensya natin, ay umabot na ng 6 tons. Correspondingly, umakyat ang presyo ng methamphetamine by 35%. It's now 6,800 pesos per gram street market value. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Nag-curtail na ang supply. Ang demand, kung lumilit na rin, pero kaya tumaas ang presyo ng gusto. That is our aim. You don't only go for the consumption side, yung mga nahuli, but you go after the supply side. Kung makikita mo, out of that 6 tons ang nawala, umakyat rin ang presyo. So the drug war is working without killing anyone. Hindi kailangan patayin ang tao para manalo sa drug war.
Meanwhile, 29,471 out of 42,000 villages have been declared drug-cleared, while 4,062 are in the process of being cleared. During his fourth SONA, President Marcos acknowledged the speed at which these accomplishments have been achieved. President Marcos vowed that the government would remain relentless in its fight against the illegal drugs trade in the country.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, is formulating measures to address the effects of the 19% tariff to be imposed by the U.S. government on Philippine-made products. Labor Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma made a statement on the sidelines of the 2025 post-SONA discussions in San Juan City Wednesday. He noted that the impact of the tariff implementation would be felt by those engaged in the manufacturing sector. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that his government is imposing a 19% tariff rate on goods from the Philippines, lower than 20%, he announced earlier.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, expresses gratitude to Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. for his continuous commitment and support to the ongoing military modernization program. AFP Chief General Romeo Bronner Jr., during the 2025 post-SONA discussions held in San Juan City, cited some of the latest acquisitions of the AFP, which include warships and combat helicopters. Some of the newly acquired ships of the Philippine Navy include 2 Jose Rizal-class guide missile frigates delivered in 2020 and 2021, and the newly commissioned BRP Miguel Malvar, which joined the fleet in May. As for the Philippine Air Force, Zorpaf Bronner said the service now has a lot of S-7I Black Hawk combat utility helicopters in its fleet, with more still to come. The Philippines has ordered an initial 16 S7 or 70I units in 2019 and another 32 units in 2022, which are now in the process of being delivered. Bronner said the Black Hawks are needed not only for security and defensive purposes, but also in times of calamities, as they can be used to transport relief goods along with a larger C-130 transport aircraft to areas severely hit by cyclones and other disasters. The AFP chief also said they also have placed an order for an additional 12 FA-50 Block 70 light combat aircraft, which will be useful in patrolling and defending not only the West Philippine Sea but the entire archipelago. The delivery period for these South Korean-made aircraft is scheduled from 2026 to 2030. Aside from equipment, Bronner said the military cyber systems are also being upgraded as cyber warfare is now considered as the newest form of conflict.
Kami po sa Armed Forces of the Philippines ay nagpapasalamat sa ating Pangulo dahil tuloy-tuloy po yung ating modernisasyon ng ating Armed Forces. Bukod po sa mga base na dinidevelop na po natin, ay marami na po tayong nabiling mga kagamitan, mga platforms, katulad po ng mga barko ng Philippine Navy. Dumating na po yung bagong frigates natin. Meron na po tayong 2 bagong corvettes. Parating na rin po yung 6 na offshore patrol vessels natin. Marami na po rin tayong mga mas maliliit pa na mga barko na dumating na. Para sa Philippine Air Force naman po ay marami na po tayong Black Hawks. At dadagdagan pa ho natin itong mga Black Hawks natin na ito. Dahil kailangan natin ito para sa ating seguridad ng ating bansa, hindi lamang po sa pagdepensa ng ating bansa, kundi sa panahon ng kalamidad, itong mga helicopters na ito, yung mga C-130s po natin, ito po yung mga nagdadala ng relief goods sa mga bayan na talagang nasalanta ng bagyo or naapektuhan ng mga disasters. Bukod po dito, may mga bagong tangke tayo sa Philippine Army. At marami pa ho tayong mga self-propelled howitzers, mga bago po ito at marami pa ho tayong kinukuha. And meron po tayong in-order na mga 12 na karagdagang FA-50, mga jet fighters po natin, nang sa gayon ay mas madepensahan natin, mas mapatrolyahan natin hindi lamang po ang West Philippine Sea, kundi yung buong archipelago, yung buong karagatan po ng Pilipinas. Bukod po dito, tuloy-tuloy rin po yung ating ginagawang pag-update, pag-upgrade ng ating cyber systems. Dahil nakita po natin na talagang isa sa mga bagong anyo ng digmaan ay ang tinatawag nating cyber warfare.
Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief General Romeo Bronner Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak touted significant reforms in bringing essential government services to overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, following the directives of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to always prioritize their safety and welfare. At the POSONA conference in San Juan City Wednesday, Secretary Kakdak said OFWs now enjoy faster, safer, and more dignified services thanks to the continuous reminder from the President. He also thanked the Chief Executive for recognizing the OFW's crucial role in promoting the Philippines through their talent and good character. This is why Kakdak said that from airport facilities to digital documentation and the provision of government aid to distressed workers, the government's upgraded services are reshaping the OFW experience. He cited the OFW Lounge, which aims to make travel more comfortable for OFWs by giving them a decent space where they can stay while waiting for their flight, has already served millions of Filipino migrant workers. Kakdak said the OFW Lounge, more than just a facility, symbolizes the country's respect and gratitude for OFWs.
I think dapat patingkarin natin yung muling pagpugay kamay ng ating Pangulo sa ating mga mahal na OFWs. Nagbigay uli siya ng recognition sa pride and honor na binibigay ng mga OFW sa ating mahal na bayan. At alam natin, dun sa huling SONA, iniutos na ng Pangulo yung pagtatalaga ng mga OFW lounge. Pagaanin yung karanasan ng pagbiyahe. Gawin ng lahat para maipamalas itong tribute, parangal, sa serbisyo at programa at mga pasilidad na katulad ng OFW Lounge na ginampanan ng OWA, DMW at OWA at nakapaglingkod sa 1.2 million OFWs na dumaan doon mula nung pinag-utos ito ng Pangulo last year. Naalala ko yon, soft launch ang plano, pero nagkaroon ng emergency sa airport last year. Sabi ng Pangulo ay buksan na agad para itaon dun sa emergency. So since that time, 1.2 million OFWs ang nagpaglingkuran ng OFW Lounge sa airport, parang business class passengers.
In his fourth SONA on Monday, President Marcos once again pushed for digitization to streamline key government services to benefit OFWs, especially for their documentation needs. Secretary Gakda confirmed that the government is now rolling out a major digitalization initiative aimed at replacing the burdensome Overseas Employment Certificate, or OEC, with a streamlined digital key travel pass integrated into the newly launched eGov app, or eGov PH app.
Nakasama na ang mga OFW documentation doon sa eGov app na mismong inulunsad din ng Pangulo dito 2 weeks ago with the ICT, Sec. Henry. So yun naman, ang plano doon ay itong OEC na tinatawag, Overseas Employment Certificate, ay maglalaho na, mawawala na, kaya ang magiging outcome document, yung e-travel pass. Again, all in the name of para pagaanin yung travel experience ng OFWs at para bilang parangal sa kanila.
Secretary Kakdak said digitizing OFW documentation would mean less hassle and more time for OFWs to spend with their families, especially during limited vacation time. Moreover, he said,
the President also
instructed the DMW to strengthen its Action Fund, a legal welfare assistance program that has been instrumental in enabling the department to provide financial and other government support to OFWs, especially the distressed. Aside from direct support to the OFWs themselves, Secretary Kakdak said the President's directives also includes hand-holding OFW families, especially children. He said DMW and OWA programs have been expanded to include scholarships, values formation, and mental wellness support for the families of OFWs left behind. Meanwhile, Secretary Kakdak also reminded OFWs that while government aid is available, they must also remain law-abiding in their host countries.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, for Dateline Malacañang, the Interagency Council Against Trafficking, or AYACAT, said it has repatriated 375 Filipino citizens back to the country for the first half of 2025. Speaking to reporters, AYACAT Executive Director Hannah Lizette Manalili of the Department of Justice, or DOJ, said the council has provided support to a total of 900 victims of various forms of trafficking in the same period through its operations center. Most of those charged were for sex trafficking and forced labor. Of the convictions, 14 were for sex trafficking and 1 for illegal child adoption. The AYACAT continues to lead the national effort to combat trafficking in persons through a coordinated, multi-sectoral, and victim-centered approach. For the first half of 2025, the agency focused on strengthening interagency coordination, enhancing law enforcement capabilities, and ensuring survivor-centered support.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.